Rosita's Paradox. Happy New Year, 2020, year of vision. I'm so excited to be back. It has been a long time coming. So thank you so much for getting us to 10,000. You guys have been amazing. All of you all who have continuously pushed me to make sure that I came back, I greatly appreciate it. And I want you to know that I could not have done it without you. Just the fact that you stuck it out and stayed with me and still increased subscribing, amazing. So what I want to talk about starting off the new year is what exactly did we learn in the last decade? Like if we did an autopsy on the last decade of our lives, like what did you feel? What did you learn? What did you know that you cannot continue? What did you leave behind? How did you grow? I mean, have you actually stopped and figured out what exactly it is that you learned? Well, today as I'm sitting back and I'm eating my lunch, because this is the only time of the day that I have to eat it, I wanted to actually come to you and just ask you, what are your thoughts? I mean, have you put yourself in a position where you have decided that you have to be profitable in regards to your last decade? I mean, exactly what does that mean? It means that whatever lesson that you learned, did you actually apply it so that it didn't become a deficit, but it became a beautiful asset? And what I mean by that is that people are going to hurt you. Things are going to happen. But how did you respond? What did you say to yourself as you move forward in your life with every moment, every issue, everything that's going on? What did you do? Were you in a position where you said to yourself, you know what, enough is enough, I'm going to move on? Or did you say, you know what, I'm going to continue to do it because I don't feel like it was my fault. I feel like it was someone else's fault. So whatever I did, I'm going to continue to do that, and I'm just going to do it with someone else. Now, I would like to say that for me, the last decade was an extremely revealing decade. I mean, a lot of things happened in the last decade. A lot of things that I could say were hurtful. They were life-changing. They were detrimental to both my physical and financial health. I mean, it was a pretty tumultuous last 10 years, I would say. I don't know if you could be that honest with yourself and agree, or if you want to really believe that, you know, your life is just sustained a beautiful place and it doesn't really shift, and, you know, so be it, it's just a new year, what's the big deal? Think about it from this angle. When we think of how we live and how we are growing, typically we identify our growth periods by decades. Meaning, I was born in the 70s, so I say I'm a 70s baby. Or in the 70s, you say I'm an 80s baby because you relate to more of the first 10 years of your life. But either way, we always identify ourselves by the decade, absolutely not by the year. We don't think about that until we get to the end of the decade, and then you actually start to recognize that's a very true statement. So for me, when I think of how I've grown over the last 10 years, I really have a lot of things that I had to really treat as if I was in an autopsy, meaning I needed to decipher it and actually figure out what made it tick, like the body of the trauma or the issue, like what exactly about it was manifesting during and after, like what is the residual of what that looked like in my life. And it was really a traumatic thing for me to do. I think I started it indirectly around my birthday, which is why I pulled off the channel for a second, because I really wanted to figure out what was really happening in my life. And some people say, well, you know, Prasida, you're always talking about reflecting, and, you know, your channel's all about that, and that's what Prasida's Paradox has always said that it was about. True, absolutely true. But I don't really think that I had taken the time to really think about specifics in regards to what I wanted to take from what I was learning in order for me to be different in my goal in what I want to do in my life and what the next 10 years would look like. And it became very clear to me coming back from Spain that life is not exactly the way we want it to be. And sometimes we get really caught up on what it looks like to other people and who we're hanging with and what they're saying about us and if we're liked and all of those things without actually telling the truth. So many people on YouTube, so many people around the world in general, but particularly influencers, have a hard time in really deciphering what's real and what's not. Another body of people that does that are actors, or anyone that's in the entertainment industry that actually has to continuously deal with the answer no, and then trying to recreate themselves to keep pursuing something that has been nothing but negative to you. It is a very difficult thing to do. So when I think about the autopsy of the last decade, I guess what I'm basically saying to you is I never really stopped to think about what the manifestation of all of that trauma really meant. Now, of course we can say that there was also upsides, of course. But either way, I think it's crucially important to understand going forward, you have to let most of that go. Like I posted up something not too long ago on my Instagram, my personal Instagram, and it basically said that I had to learn to let go and not really look for an explanation or a conclusion or why it would happen or why it didn't happen or what was going to be or who understood what I was saying, and just really move forward and worry more about my inner peace. I didn't realize that I'm really the type of person that does not want people to hurt to the degree that I think and want to believe that the way that I do it is the right way, and that anyone else's conscious decision to do something is something that has to go through me, until I stopped and realized that every time that I've ever felt like I've gotten hurt was because I cared too much. And what I mean by I cared too much is I have to learn that it is okay for people to fail, and it is okay for me to walk away, and it is okay for them to walk away, and that there's no hurt or malice in it. It is simply a growth period. So the autopsy of really looking at all of what I would call trauma was just the simple fact that the only common denominator, of course, was me, but I had to really decide on what was that doing for me to grow forward in the next 10 years. And I took every single hurt and every single failure that I could conclude to understand that it really wasn't that at all. And it would only be that if I did not actually learn from it. So that's what I mean by if I didn't profit from it, if I didn't gain something from it. We have a huge following of people who say, you know, if you came into my life, you're a lesson or a blessing. I don't really know if I'm going to touch the blessing part, because I don't think you can see the blessing while you're going through the process. I think what we're trying to say is that over time, you will actually recognize that whatever you're going through, right, was something that you needed to go through, and we can call that a blessing. But what I'm going to say is that if you're a believer, then you start to understand that everything aligns up with whatever it is that you're trying to do, and it makes it more of an understanding of like you have to be in it, because where you're going over the long haul is going to take you to where you need to be. And the only way to get to where you need to be is to go through the drama of what you've been. The cutting, the pressing. I mean, again, we've used every metaphor known to man, but we say it, and I still think we trouble ourselves with actually accepting it. Right? Like I can absolutely tell you that I know, because of the God that I serve, that that's what I believe. And then I realized that who am I to say, if a person is okay? I mean, who am I to judge another person's okay? Well, I'm looking at it from the perspective of this person's just like me. So whatever I'm thinking is okay is what they want to be okay. Guess what? Big shock for Persita that that's not exactly the case whatsoever. Whoever has a situation is their situation. If someone asks for my advice, that's very different from me than pushing my advice on someone or telling myself that I know better than they do, even if that might be true. And of course, I always want to believe that that is true. But if it isn't, it's not my place to really have to give any bits of a hell about it. I don't have to put myself in those positions anymore, because all it does is puts me in a place of chatter monkey brain. And what that means is that I'm continuously trying to figure out why my message isn't getting through, because all I want you to do is to be better and be healed and do what it is that I think is best for you, only for me to come to the last 10 years of my life to go, girl, it is hard enough for you to try to figure out what in God's name you need to do about you, let alone if somebody else is understanding my intentions. Guess what? It doesn't even matter what my intentions are, because if I love you as much as I'm trying to tell you that I love you, then I have had to learn over the last 10 years that I have to let it go. I never realized how much I really found myself convoluted with other people's problems until I realized, one, it's my nature. And two, just because it's my nature, it doesn't mean that it's right. So after all that said and done, my autopsy for the last decade is to mind your business. And not mind your business in just the cliche of saying mind your business, but mind your business in the sense of saying, at the end of all of my thoughts of trying to tell people what to do, it does not affect me, not in one bit. Not through my family, not through my children. Everybody has to live their life. And they have to live it to the best of their ability. And the only way that I can be a better example is to simply live my life to the fullest and allow people to see my happiness and let that happiness reflect onto whatever it is that they want to do. And that was the hardest lesson. Who would have thought that with all of this advice I call myself trying to give on Perceived Paradox, that would be my lesson? But isn't it funny that it's always the people who help other people who crazy? That would be me. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely in a position of understanding that I am my own paradox. And truth be told, I don't think that's something that we really want to own. We continuously want to always give these facades as if we're so perfect and we have it all together. And truth be told, you can't buy true peace. You can get all kinds of designer bags, you can travel the world, you can do all of these things, but if at the end of every night you still find yourself in a chattermonkey place where you can't fall asleep, you have sleep apnea, or bad skin, or bad temperaments, or some bout of depression that you're literally trying to cover up with something else, or loneliness, or whatever else it is, if you're still in those places, then you are completely lying to yourself. And guess what? I figured out. We like to be lied to. We honestly like people to lie to us. That is life. You don't want people to really tell you the truth, because telling the truth then makes you unliked. And if you're unliked, then you're in a position that you cannot make it in this world, in this society today, right? Like everything we do, from this YouTube channel I'm doing to Instagram to anything else, is all because you want to be liked. What if I told you? What if you actually thought about the premise of it doesn't matter if you're liked? You're never going to have a perfect year or a perfect decade. There's going to be people who don't like you. It's going to be people who are going to work and act against you. There's going to always be a bad year. After we start to look at it that way, we actually do better. I mean, it's okay if you're looking at this channel right now and you're going like, I don't really see the hype. Like, I don't really know what's so great about her. Because then that just means it wasn't for you. But doesn't mean that my purpose isn't being fulfilled. It simply means that everybody is not going to receive it. And instead of worrying about that, you just have to focus on doing what it is you need to do and be okay with what is happening in your life. Goals and aspirations don't always have to be expressed. I always love, my absolute favorite is to see someone on Instagram and they post up I'm just taking a break because, I need some type of a spiritual cleansing or something, so you won't see me on Facebook or Instagram or whatever the social media platform is for a while. Well, hell, if you're going to just leave. Like, what is the announcement for? Because even in our exit, we want people to think that it's an important factor that we're leaving. We don't post up pictures for anybody else but for the people who are following us to believe that our life is great. That's just fact. And we can tell ourselves all day long, but that's my channel, or that's my page, and I do what I want to do. But the truth of the matter is that that's not true. The truth is that we all post because we want someone to look at our post and believe that we are great and we're doing great and everything is fascinating and everything is wonderful and everything has a purpose and your life is perfect. There's nothing wrong with making that statement other than the fact that people can't handle that truth. We all want 15 million thousand followers. We all want people to look up to us. So what is the big deal in being that honest? Probably the deal is that if you say it, then you're going to be judged. And everybody who tries to judge, even this statement, you know you're lying. You're lying to yourself right now. You're saying, no, I don't. When I post stuff, I don't really care what people think. The lies you speak. The lies you speak. Because if you didn't care, then you wouldn't be on social media. Plenty of people in the world aren't on social media. And guess what? They live like just fine. And everything is great. And they have no regard for trying to fit in that way. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you that they don't still try to fit in some form or another, but they don't try to fit in the manner of being liked on social media platforms. Now, as much as I say all of that, of course I want you to like my channel. Of course I want you to subscribe. Of course I want you to like all of my Instagram pictures and tell me I'm pretty and all that. Why would I tell you I didn't? Like, that would be kind of comical to say that that's truth. I want it, but guess what I've learned? I don't have to fixate on it. I don't have to be in a position where if I don't get it, then it validates who I am. I can understand the validation comes from me. I mean, I gotta like me. That was really the other lesson. I gotta really like me. Not fake liking me, not only liking me if I'm perfect, but liking me in all of my minutia, in all of my drama, in all of my tears, and all of my whatever it is you want to say. I have to just learn to like me and really, really like me. Not like me subjectively or not like me more or less based on what somebody is saying. And again, I just think these are all things that if we're really honest with ourselves going into the next decade, we'll be less fearful. We'll be more vulnerable. We'll be more open. We'll be in a position where we actually allow things to manifest without trying to dictate every single piece of it. We'll be in a place where we'll say, you know what? Some people are going to like this video and some people aren't going to like this video. And you know what? That is okay. If everyone doesn't like this video, that is still okay. I do not have to continuously move in a manner of my way is the only way and I want myself to see it. I look at it from this angle. When I go to a grocery store and let's just say I walk down the bread aisle, it's 50,000 different breads of all forms, of all different brands. And guess what? They're all bread. Meaning there's more than enough room in the world for you to be whoever you are uniquely and still be valuable. Everyone's not going to like the same anything, but just think about it from a bread perspective, especially because I'm a bread lover. But think about it from a bread perspective. There are so many different breads in the world. It did not stop any particular brand from saying, you know what, so-and-so over there, they have a bread, so I'm not going to make a bread because obviously people only like their bread because they're popular and I'm going to make a bread. It doesn't mean that. And for me, I'm telling you, when I look at the last decade of my life, I start to understand that part of the story. There's 50 million YouTubers, plenty of motivational speakers, plenty of people who call themselves lifestyle coaches and all of that. But guess what? There's one person. One. And I just so happen to be her. And if that be true, then I can only worry about the lane that Pursuit is in. The situation that Pursuit is in. I don't have to worry about how many other people I'm competing with. And going into the new year, I just hope that for everyone. I hope that you learn that piece of your last decade. And if you've learned it, kudos to you. Kudos to you, because I promise you, in my 40-something age, there's nothing about me that would have thought that I still would struggle with that until I really looked at where my trauma was. And that is what I had to learn. Now, moving forward, I just keep hitting this bowl. And moving forward, I can't wait to share with you all of the experiences. So moving forward, I'd like to share with you that I will remain in this vein. I hope that you will be a little bit more open. I hope that everyone who has taken the time to go back and look at my old videos and send me wonderful, wonderful insight privately. I'd hope moving forward that we get better about that this year, particularly this year. I know that we're all about talking about our vision and moving forward, but I really want it to be deeper than just a vision, because a vision isn't enough. There's a lot of things that we see, and even what we're seeing is not exactly what life is. So we have to go deeper. We have to understand that in order to embrace who you are, it's an ongoing, ever consistent and dedicated factor that has to happen in everything you do. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. The way you want to look at yourself is the same way that you want to look at others. So notice, if you judge people, notice how much you judge yourself. When you get out of judging and really look at it from a perspective of, you know what? I don't have to see it. Catch it? 20/20 vision. I don't have to see it the way this person sees it. I can respect it and move on. We have a tendency to only want to work with people that we like. Sometimes it's not about what you like. Sometimes your blessing is caught up in someone or something that you would never, ever attach yourself to. We got to learn to work with people on different levels who have different mindsets, who believe different things, because for the common goal of whatever it is you're trying to achieve in this next year, the next 5 years, the next decade, has to happen from you being open. And we have to think bigger than simply a year. What is your goals for the next 10 years? I have some pretty deep goals, and I've already started a lot of them. Some I'll share, some I won't. But the ones that I do share, I hope I can be open enough with you for you to see that if I only looked at what was in front of me, then it would be very easy for me to walk away from any goals that I have. A lot of the trauma and a lot of the things that we have in our lives right now, to me, are just cop-outs. It's easy to martyr ourselves into not wanting to put in the work, from our financials to our relationships to our physical being to our spiritual being, because it's so much easier just to simply go with what's familiar. But I challenge you this year. You want to see something? You want to create a vision? Create a vision that is so over the top, that is so far-fetched, that every time you think about it, you know that you need something stronger than yourself to get there. You need a team, you need a spiritual walk, you need dedication, you need consistency, persistence, tenacious pushes to get you there. If you can do that, people, I promise you it's going to be a wonderful year. I look forward to nothing but growth between us. I look forward to honesty. I look forward to creativity. I look forward to your insight, be it positive or negative. I'm open. I hope that you're open and come to this channel on Tuesdays and Thursdays to actually be in a position to want to hear someone who really openly and honestly wants nothing but what is best for you. And the way that I initiate what is best for you is to simply tell you what has been best for me. In that, hopefully you can find something that you can learn from and utilize. Or if you can learn to not do it. Either way, I hope that for the next 10 years together, our next decade, we do nothing more than fail forward. You've heard me say this over and over again, but I'm serious. I really hope that we can keep moving. Try it, move, shift, create new friendships, step out of what's comfortable. Go into arenas where you're not the smartest, you're not the prettiest, you're not the skinniest. You actually have to work to be comfortable in it. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. So, you know what I'm going to say? All I ever hope for you are 3 things. Live life authentic. That's it. If you can do that, you'll be in a great place to start this journey that we're on. So thank you again so much. I know it was a long video. It's been so long since I came back on the channel. So of course I will get on and be chatty Kathy. But I definitely wanted you to know I missed you. I am so sorry it took so long for me to come back. But I really had to make sure my hair was right. Really, I did. And I thank you so much for being so supportive. And I thank you so much for still hanging in there. So please like, share, comment, whatever it is that you want to do on this channel, and particularly on this particular video, because I'm looking for your feedback. I honestly am. And I would love for you to be more comfortable in sharing it with others, because you really don't know what'll help someone. You really don't. And sometimes you're going through something and someone else would love to hear that they're not the only person. So don't be afraid to share your comments and share your insight on what it is. And if you don't agree, I'm fine for that. Tell me that. Tell me that. Instead of being in a position where you get off the channel and go, oh, that was a waste of time, get underneath the comments. Be authentic and actually say that. But in the meantime and in between times, know I love you. Know I appreciate you. Again, like, share, comment, send it by smokescreen. Let everyone know that I'm back live on the channel with new videos and that we are going to be in the best years of our lives, starting with 2020. Thank you again so much for joining me. I greatly appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you on Thursday. As usual, have a blessed day. Bye-bye.